So here we go again, Mark. How are you?
Yes. Yeah, all good. Here we are. Absolutely. I hope everyone out there is all good. And yeah, it's been busy for us. We're right in the season now, aren't we? I'm sure many of you professionals out there are doing the same. But yeah, how you doing, Cam? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, as you said, Mark, it's sort of full on at the moment, isn't it? We've
Mm,
got we have been sort of coming. Well, we have been busy, but I think we're getting into our busiest period, aren't we? Which is coming
yeah.
up with a variety of different types of shoots. But that's all good news with everything that we're doing. So what do we got today, Mark?
Well, I think later on we're going to discuss basically is now the best time to start buying used lenses. But
Hmm.
especially so yeah, this is something that we read and thought "Ooh, maybe we should talk about that. But first of all, is are selfies dangerous for your health? And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I recently read the story. It was on Petapixel about a lady in Mexico who died whilst taking a selfie. So just a bit of context as to what happened. A woman in Mexico, I'm just reading this from the site now. So a woman in Mexico has died after she was trying to position herself next to a train for a selfie. The woman has been identified as 29-year-old Ducci Alondra, and it's tragic really because she's survived by a 5-year-old son, which is awful, and all for a selfie. Do you know what I mean? It almost seems kind of but it's a massive waste, isn't it? It can, I mean, someone's life is fragile and time's taken away from us in an instant, and that's what this is. But it just we have spoke to. I think we talked about this a few years ago, didn't we? But it just got me into thinking about well, this might maybe happen a lot, and we did pull up. I think you pulled up a database, didn't you, Cam? Just
Yeah, I've been looking
regarding
at
about
some.
it.
Yeah, so I've been doing some research into this after you came across the story of this lady in Mexico. I mean, to be standing near a train, to be doing a selfie, and to I mean, the chance that it wouldn't happen somewhere like in the UK, as far as I'm
Well,
concerned, because of their health and safety.
just to put a
Um,
bit more context in, if I may, yeah, you're right about that. This wasn't a standard train, though. This was it's a bit of a tourist train. I think the train is
mm,
called the Empress, and it's I think it comes all the way from Canada through the United States. Final destination being Mexico City. It's the Canadian Pacific 2816. I'm guessing there's something special about this train. This isn't your standard
no.
intercity into London. Do you know what I mean? It's I think there's a
Mm,
bit more to it than that, which is why she
mm.
wanted a selfie. However, what you're saying is correct. I think the health and safety on this is ridiculous. But then you say that, but I'm afraid a lot of this is on her, you know.
Oh, of course it is. It is on the person taking the selfie. Now, there's, and I started doing some research into this because, we've said it before. I think we said it on the last episode. Mark and I know we do this podcast, which is social media, but we're
Mm,
not social media people. Not on a personal level. We'll do it for
not
business,
really.
but
No.
and to be honest with you, I'm certainly not very good even on it with business actually. But
No, I'm not.
for me, so, taking photos, for my personal photos and stuff and putting them on social media is not something that I have any interest in at all. I just don't want to do it, but for some people they do, and it does have its benefits. But so I started doing some research into this, and I came across a website called theswiftest.com, and they
Mm,
give an article, and quite a long article, and putting in which countries are the selfies are most selfie deaths are most common.
mm,
But I wanted to read the conclusion. I'm going to quote them on their actual conclusion
mm,
first on this because it says, in the short lifespan of social media apps, what's considered Instagrammable has shifted dramatically from brunch with friends and beautiful sunsets to dangerous vacations in exotic places.
mm,
While Instagram is often considered the originator of potentially risky behavior for social media, apps like Snapchat, Reddit, and TikTok, these apps also regularly feature dangerous stunts and trends that are keeping young people interested, but not necessarily safe. We
mm,
don't know how far apps like TikTok and Instagram will push the boundaries of human behavior in relationships, but we do know that social media apps were designed to hold our focus and keep us seeking the validation of likes and attention, and they were designed very, very well.
mm,
And
mm,
it's you know I find it quite sad actually when, and I've been guilty of it. If you're with a group of people and you're on your phone,
Mm, mm.
and we all do it.
We all do. Yeah.
We all do it. Some people do it more than others. I I notice it in, when I go into a bar. And before I was going to say it was really the younger generation, but it's not. It's people of all generations.
Yeah.
You walk in, you see a couple sitting there, you see a group of people sitting there, and they're all on
All
their
on their
phones, and
phone.
no one's saying that. If I go out for, say dinner with my wife or something, a number of times you see other couples, and they're both just sitting there, just on their phone,
Mm.
and obviously posting what they're about to eat or what they're eating, and saying what an amazing time that they're having.
Yeah.
And obviously this goes that little bit further, and
Mm.
it says here that, and now this goes back to August 2023, and it says the selfie death database. I mean, there's even an official database for it.
Yeah.
And it says here that the Swiftest database has been updated as of July 2023. So it's almost a year. It's a year out of date.
Yeah.
But India has the highest number of selfie deaths.
Wow.
Okay, and it's if you look at the top countries, the top 5 countries, in reverse order, you have Indonesia, Pakistan, Russia, USA, and then India. Now,
Wow. Well, we're not
India,
even on the list, which is
no, UK is. I think there's a list about 20 there, and UK is third from bottom.
third from bottom. Okay, so
Okay, now in India, the deaths and the injuries are, I don't know, not they're double, triple, quadruple the times, the compared to the second biggest
wow.
country, which is the USA. I mean, it is huge in India.
I mean, is that to do with
And
population as well? Has that been taken in consideration, or
of course, it's population. I think it's general rules with health and safety.
yeah?
Having been out there 2 or 3 times myself, you've not got the safety, you've not got safety in place that you would have in, say, USA and Russia.
Well, it's the classic pictures of them clambering on the train. People clambering on the train on the top of it and on the side of it just to get from A to B.
Of course, but the fact is that taking a photo has become so important now.
Yeah.
And then it says the causes of self-related incidents by type, and falls is the most common. Okay,
Right.
so 44% of deaths that happen, or self-related incidents by type, is 44% is falls. Then you have 21% drowning. Would you believe next is train, 16%? Okay, so you got firearm, you got car accident,
Firearms. Oh, God.
electrocution. You can imagine, can't you? Firearms,
Yeah.
people just messing around with things, and
Yeah.
suddenly the damn thing goes off. And there's not to make light of it, but
I mean,
um,
why have bullets in there if you're gonna? Well, yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, what's also interesting is that the incidents over the number of years, it's going back to 2014 up until 2023. Okay.
Mm.
From 2014 to 2023, 2016 had 63 selfie related incidents by year. Okay. 2016 was the highest. Okay.
So 16 people died worldwide the whole year.
Yeah.
Because of a
Okay.
selfie.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, no, 63.
Oh, 63.
63 in 2016. Year. Okay. Now,
in 1 year.
You would expect, okay, that the lowest years would be COVID, wouldn't you? The COVID years. Okay. However, the COVID years, part of 2020, okay, but 2021 and 2022, they're very high. They're about the third or fourth highest years, would you believe, since 2014,
Wow.
which is quite shocking, actually.
I mean, there's a certain sort of reflection on human behavior there. When you've got nothing to do, you do something silly. Is that? I mean, is boredom a thing there? I don't know.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I think it's pushing the boundaries. I've always said, whatever it is, we're pushing the boundaries at every single generation. It says and in the swiftest.com article, it says subheading, the normalization of selfie culture and its impact on youth and risk behavior. Okay, so it is part of normal culture now. It is part of culture. The selfie is part of culture.
Yeah.
And it says when social capital is tied to observed metrics, i.e., likes and comments, and is no longer limited to your immediate friends and family, it can feel like the goalpost for social approval keeps getting more extreme and more global. So
Mm,
people are thinking, oh, what's going to get me more likes? Not just a picture of me just standing there. It's got to be me doing something else, me doing something a bit silly, a little bit
mm,
daring, maybe, you know.
mm.
And it says here, social media companies are likely well aware of the impact that their platforms have on young people. And I don't think it is just young people. I think it's people of all ages. It says many people feel the platforms are willfully or negligently ignoring the impacts on youth. In fact, they have actively downplayed the devastating psychological effects of their platforms on young people for the sake of profit, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, let's be honest. When it says here they've downplayed the devastating effects of on young people for the sake of profit. Well, I think all industries probably have. You've
Yeah.
got the food industry, the health industry, they all do it. It's not
Alcohol
just to do
industry.
with,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But, I think it's only going to get worse. It's nothing's, it can only get
Well,
worse because
I,
people are going to be doing more and more silly things and they don't think that that little step back behind them
mm.
and there's a drop.
But
There,
also
there
it's,
is
it's
that
it's
drop.
for frivolous stuff as well. I kind of get it if a press photographer dies because they've taken the risk to get that shot. Do
Of
you know what I mean?
course.
It's
Yeah.
still silly to do in
Yeah.
some respects because it is
Yeah.
because how important is your job, I guess. But if you were to get that world changing photo because you
That's
take a
different.
risk. It is kind of different. This isn't that though. This is look at me. It's almost vanity, death by vanity
Mm,
almost in some
mm,
respects. It's
yeah.
and I don't get it. And I think look, I've of course I've done selfies. Everybody has. Um, but I just be careful out there, guys, because it's
Mm,
likes on Instagram isn't worth your life, man.
mm.
It really isn't.
It says here the odds are the number of selfie-related deaths and injuries is actually likely much higher than these statistics. Actually, it's got to be.
It's got to be because
Um,
not everything's being, documented properly, I guess, especially
yeah.
maybe in some of the countries where, this sort of documentation is not as rigorous as maybe others.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Yeah, but people, and when I look here, at it says the top um fatalities, like in India, it says here drowned. It says there was a body that was found, another one that drowned, teenager drowned to death at popular selfie spot in Bandipora. A 19-year-old plunges to death at Mahadi Falls while taking selfie. Friend was saved by bushes. Then you've got the United States. Cruise passenger reportedly falls overboard while sitting on a railing for a selfie. Brazil, teen falls 16 feet to death while trying to take selfie on the edge of a waterfall. India, girl taking selfie falls from Ferris wheel and in Bankora dies. Girl girl dies after being hit by a train while taking a selfie, and so on and so on. It reports every single one. Six members of family die trying to save sisters who drowned taking selfie at waterfall.
mm,
The UK. Here's one. It says teenager killed in freak accident while posing for selfie on a 1,400 feet mountain ledge. Another one for UK. It says I fell 33 feet while snapping selfie. Hospital left me laying in my it left me laying in my feces and blood. Turkey, frightening moment. Teen girl falls to death trying to take a selfie. So it's happening everywhere,
yeah, it
and it's
is.
happening far more than we actually know.
And one of the things that I read, and I didn't know if this is this article through Petty Pick, so it might have been another article I was just reading up on just before we came on air. But one of the most tragic and sort of harrowing aspects of it is the last photo that is captured of these people uh, is their death because
Yes,
they
of
actually
course.
managed to take the selfie. I mean, there's a last minute. It wasn't the selfie picture, but there is a picture
Mm,
of Dulce taking this picture, and you can see the train behind her, and the photo just says moments before the tragedy. And you can see her, and she's taking the picture, and it's there, and that's I dare say she managed to get that selfie as well, and that's probably the last, and that's a tragedy.
yeah,
That
exactly.
that
Yeah,
that picture's just, oof.
yeah. So these things are going to happen, and we just have to acknowledge the fact that, for guys, if you, even with your cameras, it's not just with your selfies. As we said, there are journalists who put themselves at risk and do that, and I get that because they're doing that job and they choose and they're putting themselves at risk and they're well aware of that. However, for any of us actually going out to do a job, like more and more, we have to do health and safety and risk assessments and that type of thing with certain jobs and whatever, and we think, oh, it's just paperwork, it's just that type of thing, Mark, you and I are heavily involved in graduations and in the setting up for a lot of photographers. And you see these little trip hazards and people might be going, oh yeah, cables and stuff like that. But, I've seen it happen, it's a dangerous job that we do out there, Mark.
It is. But I mean,
it can be, because sometimes when we're in that moment of shooting, we're not fully aware of our surroundings and what's happening. We're in that moment of getting that shot, aren't we?
Yeah, no, and I understand that because I'm certainly in that moment sometimes. But I just want to come back to one of the points I made earlier today. This isn't just about health and safety, because actually in some cases you think health and safety does stifle creativity, and I do think that in some cases. Don't get me wrong, but I understand why it's there. But this isn't about the health and safety. This is, people have to take responsibility for their actions. So, when and it sounds callous, but they were doing something very silly, and it's not. Yes, maybe there should have been barriers, and you could all argue it's but someone decided to get that close to a train.
Yeah, exactly.
And they died.
That's right. Yeah,
and it's a terrible story because her poor son, 5-year-old son, has now lost his mum, and that's a terrible thing.
That's right. Yeah. It is, it is, and we've got to be careful. Mark, let's grab a drink.
Absolutely.
Right, Mark. Now, you're a Canon user.
I am.
Obviously, and you are time to open up, Mark. You are a mirrorless user.
I am.
But you do also have your DSLR, and I know that you still have some DSLR lenses, don't you?
Yes, I do. Well, basically, obviously, I want to buy another mirrorless body. Might go for another R5. Sorry, R6. I do like the R3 though, so I'm not sure. But I am holding it back a little bit because when I do that, that's when I need to change all my lenses up as well. The reason I haven't done that is because I use the DSLR as well still. So so I just use an adapter. Yeah. But I would like to get, the the RF lenses are just something else. They are really good.
And so I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of photographers out there who've got an array of lenses for their DSLRs and who have either gone mirrorless and are using adapters to be able to use the older lenses on the mirrorless cameras, or they're just not switching to mirrorless because they're thinking, no, I don't really want to because I've got this huge array of lenses that, I don't want to say worthless, but they're going to lose value and there's nothing wrong with them. And it's a difficult decision to make. DSLR is obviously still very, very valid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it will be for a number of years.
Oh, but at least a decade, I think. I can't see DSLRs going for a while.
No, mainly because of the amount of equipment and units that there are out there in circulation. And so manufacturers that are out there have probably got a lot of stock that they still want to be getting rid of and need to be shifting.
But also there's a massive second-hand
of course
equipment market out there, and there's loads. It's just there's so much of this DSLR stock. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think.
Yeah. So Nikon, their F-mount lenses, cameras and lenses, they've been around for 65 years now. And in that time,
wow,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, they've had almost 100 different types of lenses, and ranging from their sort of fisheye lenses to their zoom lenses and telephoto lenses and everything. But now, of course, we have the Z mount lenses on the Nikons, and of course, Canon use the RF lenses for their mirrorless range.
So it's their equivalent, isn't it?
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Now, the thing is with these lenses, with these DSLR lenses that a lot of us own, that a lot of people do own, when is the right time to jump mirrorless? Okay, or not necessarily mirrorless, but when is the right time to sort of, if you're a DSLR user should you can when is the right time to move to mirrorless, but continue to use your DSLR lenses on the mirrorless with an adapter? Okay.
Well, I think, I mean, I don't know if that's rhetorical if you're asking me, but I mean, I'll put my two pennies worth in. I mean, I'm in the in between stage really still. I
Mm.
just felt it was right for me to change it up.
Yeah.
Um, I just got to that point where no, I think it was. I always had it. I always because right early on, I think I don't know how long I've had my R6 now. It was a couple of years ago now. I think I bought it, but
Yeah.
I do remember having discussions with Rob, who used to be a contributor on this podcast, Rob Bowd, about how he would have issues in low light with his focusing on his Sony. I forget what model it was.
Is it
Um,
A7 III?
to the A7 III he had,
Mm.
and he did say, and he'd had to then switch back to a DSLR for the darker times at a wedding, so he'd have to
Mm.
use, and that put me off. And I think it was only through conversations. I think again, friend of the show, Tommy Reynolds, bought an R5, and he said, "Yeah, there's no problem with low light with focusing." And then I was like, "Okay, fine." And I want to update my camera. Um, so it just the time was right for me to do it. Um,
Yeah.
Certainly wasn't right for me to buy all the new lenses as much as
Mm.
I'd love to. I really want the RF lenses, but
Mm.
because I've got one mirrorless and one DSLR, I have an adapter. It works perfectly fine. It's just
Yeah.
as good as what the DSLR was doing, just not quite as good and fast as what the RF lenses are. With there is a difference there,
Yeah,
um,
that's right. Yeah.
but
Now,
I'd have to
generally,
part with about 5K on lenses at least.
yeah, yeah. Now,
And
now the thing is with lenses and camera bodies. First of all, lenses generally hold their values a lot more than say a camera body. So, as an
yeah,
example, the Nikon D3, which I think was one of the best cameras that Nikon, even now, is one of
mm,
the great cameras Nikon ever produced. And it was certainly for me that and the actual D750 are the two best cameras that, when it comes to digital, are the best cameras they ever released. Now, when it was launched, the D3, now we go back to, because I bought mine in 2009, so it was probably about 2007, was about sort of £5,000, £4,000, something like that when it was launched. And now, okay, it can be found for about the tenth of the price, because it's still a damn good camera. Okay,
mm,
in this day and age, D3 is still a great camera. But now, obviously, Nikon, like Canon, Sony, they've all shifted over to DSLRs. They've all shifted now over to mirrorless,
mm,
and lenses have changed. The lenses have got better naturally with new technology.
mm,
You've got lenses that have got built-in image stabilization, which is better than the image stabilization they had before. The glass is just better. Modern technology is better. Newer lenses are going to be better than the older
yeah.
lenses. No matter how old your lenses are, no how good it was, newer technology is going to give you better lenses.
But in some cases as well, the newer lenses are more compact. So, we did a review, didn't we, on the 7200 Canon 7200 RF.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's almost half the size of my EF version, and it's definitely half the weight.
yeah,
Um, it's, yeah,
yeah,
I know that really helps. That really helps. And we know
yeah,
how heavy my bag is. So, if I had that lens, it would take a load off quite
yeah.
literally.
That's right. Yeah. Now, although Nikon lenses, although DSLR lenses do hold their value, okay, they are still coming down in price. And that it that if you want to get rid of them, now is actually a good time to get rid of them. Okay. But it's also a good time to buy as well,
Yeah.
because the value of those lenses is only going to go down if you're looking to sell.
Mm,
And if you don't mind buying used lenses, and there's nothing wrong with buying used
no.
lenses, then you can pick up some absolute bargains. I mean, some real bargains. You don't have to go for something new, because always remember there's a lot of people that have got some very, very good older lenses but hardly ever use them. And
Mm.
they also, particularly if it's amateur or hobbyists, they look after their lenses far better than we do as professionals, Mark.
Yes, they do.
And they
Yes.
and they get a hell of a lot less use. And so
Yeah.
there are some lenses out there, used lenses that are like mint. I can guarantee you, you ask some of the photographers that are selling them, they'll probably say, I only used it a couple of times and never
Mm,
used it again after that.
mm,
Just because they bought it on a whim, and they just never got around to using it. So
mm,
I think it's so if you are thinking about selling or buying your DSLRs, it could be a good time to do it. But on the article that I looked at, it says reasons to buy a used DSLR lens, and it's quite interesting this because it says um, in the article it says DSLR lenses represent the best value of any used lenses today, and it says there are many reasons to buy one, and it says used DSLR lenses we know they're significantly lower in price than newer lenses and the new mirrorless lenses as well.
mm,
Another reason to buy DSLR lens, you can use them on mirrorless cameras with an adapter.
mhm,
Okay, so you've got no issues with actually using them, and a lot of them with their focus peaking image stabilization, you can use it's the camera bodies that have that built in. Okay, so
mm,
with older lenses, you can start to use peaking settings, image stabilization. So
yeah.
your old lenses can have a hell of a lot more use and a lot more value as well, and a lot more features that you never actually had before.
Mm,
Um, but but also there's reasons not to buy
mm,
DSLR lenses, and some of those reasons are that as I said, new technology is going to be better. If you have
yeah.
got a mirrorless camera, if you've got it could be Sony, whatever, but we're talking about Nikon and Canon for now. We'll just mention them too. If you've got a Nikon mirrorless, then buy the Z lenses. If you've
Mm,
got a Canon, buy the RF lenses. Don't buy a mirrorless and then buy a cheap DSLR with an adapter. I think that would be
mm,
a backward step because the quality of the mirrorless lenses are going to be better. They're going to give you sharper images. They're going to be faster to focus as well, and we know that
yeah.
sort of from practice as well.
Yeah. The
And
glass is going to
obviously,
be good in either, just to put that out there. But yes, it's the speed of the focus. It's again what we said, the lighter weight materials that they're using, the fact that the lenses are smaller like I said, I keep going back to the 7200 that review because I just thought the difference of it was just incredible. I
absolutely.
thought they sent us the wrong lens at first to review because it just looks so much smaller than mine.
Mm,
Um, and that it'll definitely help your backs, guys. So
mm.
you know,
And the other thing I just want to come on to as well is, and I've mentioned it so many times before, um, is don't hang on to your old unused equipment. Okay, don't think that I bought this lens and it cost me £2,000 10 years ago, and I don't want to get rid of it because it was so expensive. But how many times have you used it in the last month, 6 months,
mm,
last 2 years, 3 years? If you've never or barely used it, it's just get rid of it. Even if you get £300 for it,
yeah,
£200 for it, forget the fact that you might have paid £2,000 for it. Get rid of it and
yeah.
put that money towards something new. We get too precious about saying, "Oh no, but
I'm
that
I'm a shocker for it. I've got.
right, yeah,
It's almost like a history though for me. I don't know why. I don't know why,
yeah."
but
I
I
I
still
get
got I
that.
still got my F4S.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
get that.
use
But the
it,
thing is,
but
yeah, I get that as a hobbyist, but when you're in the professional market, as we are, Mark, then it's
mm,
more about right. Okay, let's just get rid of all of that unused stuff and put it
yeah,
towards something new. And you'll probably find that the lens that you do want to buy, you could probably fund half of it just through stuff that you've got that's
yeah.
never used.
I
You
guess I'm
know,
more attached to the bodies than I am the lenses. I think I'd be quite happy to shift lenses. That doesn't bother
sure,
me. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
still got my Mark II, Canon Mark II.
I
Um,
I get that
and I've still
because your
got
body,
a Nikon D100 as well. I never
yeah,
use it, but
and
I've
I
got
get
it.
that because a camera body loses value far
Yeah.
more than a decent lens. Okay, the value really is in the lenses. But
Mm.
I urge you, every single one of you that's there, that's listening to this, if you've got lenses, whether it's one lens or four or five lenses, and you don't use them, just get rid of them, get the cash
Yeah.
for them, get
Yeah.
whatever you can. And if you nothing that you want to buy at the moment, put that cash away, store it away somewhere, and put it towards something new when you want to buy it. And I can
Mm.
guarantee you'll be a lot happier for doing that. But don't just store equipment and stock it and just say, oh well, I bought it years ago and I won't get
Mm.
anything for it now. Is get rid of that mentality. We live very much in a different world. I think years ago, I think that was acceptable, but in this day and age, when you've got when the secondhand market and the used market,
Mm.
is so vibrant, when people are looking to buy and sell all the time, you should be doing that, and strip down
Mm.
the amount of equipment that you want. So you only have what you use,
Yeah, no,
and like,
with lenses definitely. I'd love to change up
yeah.
to the
So
EF
do it,
lenses.
Mark. Get rid
Well,
of,
there's no point. There's no point
you
because
need,
I'm
you need
still
to follow
using a
the lead.
DSLR. I'm still using a
Yeah.
DSLR, so there's no point. And that's nothing to do with being attached or anything. It's just, there's many things I've put my money into for my business this year, and unfortunately,
Mm.
another mirrorless is not there.
But I reckon though, you could get rid of a lot of your DSLR stuff and fund a mirrorless.
I might be able to fund the mirrorless body, but not a mirrorless body with a 70,
Mm.
was it 2470
Mm.
2.8 and a 70 200 2.8. I
Yeah.
don't think I would be able to fund that. You're
Mm.
probably looking about best part of 10K to replace
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. And if you've got
Um,
10 grand, if you've got £10,000 worth of equipment
yeah,
unused, then
which I don't.
which, yeah, and I bet you a lot of people do. I can
Yeah,
guarantee you a lot of people here
yeah.
that are listening to this have got that, and they probably don't even realize it. But think about it: if you have got loads of equipment that's worth, it could be worth £500, £200, but it could
Mm.
well be worth £10,000, and it's not being used. Just get rid of it, and honestly, you will cleanse and you'll feel better
Mm. Do you ever worry though
for it.
with lenses though? This is something that I've always been thinking about as well. When I do change up, will I keep my EF lenses? Not because I'm attached or anything, but what if I drop my RF lens? Oh, but don't worry, in the bag in the car, I still got my EF lens, so I can still do the job.
Well,
Is that?
as a professional, you're always going to have a backup,
But do
and
you though? Do you have backup for your RF 2470 lens?
no, but saying that, you see, I use a Nikon D750 as my old
Yeah.
Nikon D750 is my backup lens. Okay,
Mm,
I've also got three Sony A7 IIIs because we use those for video, but I can
yeah.
also use those for photos as well. So I've got
Yeah.
quite a lot of
You got
backup
all
now.
that.
Now the thing
So
is
for
I
me,
know,
I wouldn't have that.
yeah, and I know that Nikon D750 that I've got and a lens, I've only got one lens for it.
Mm,
I know that will get me through most situations.
yeah.
Okay. And as far as the quality is concerned, that Nikon D750 is going to give me fantastic quality.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Obviously, the mirrorless is going to give me that better quality, but most people, I might perhaps pick up on that, but they're going to be
mm,
perfectly good to give to
yeah.
whether it's a wedding client or or a commercial client. I know my D750 is going to perform absolutely fantastic, and I do it. I just sort of think, oh, I've dropped my lens on my
Mm,
Canon, I can't use it. Right, it's fine. I'll go and grab my D750.
yeah.
It,
So
it, it
that's
really wouldn't bother me at all. Quality
so,
wise, it would be great.
yeah. So that's something else for people to think about. So when I do eventually go to a second mirrorless body, so I have the two mirrorless bodies, I'd probably sell the 7200, but I'd probably keep the 2470
Mm.
because that would be my backup.
That's your backup. No, that's what I did with
That's my
the
backup.
D750. Yeah, I've got
So
a 24.
therefore, I wouldn't have that. So therefore, you lose the value of that because you're not going to be able to sell it on.
Yeah.
So in that respect, so that's also something to just think about as well,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
these lenses are pricey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having a
And I
backup
and
is
yeah.
definitely worthwhile.
As I said, I have one Nikon D750 with a 24 to 105 lens, which is just my backup. It's there. I can't remember the last time I've ever used it. Saying that,
Mm,
I'll probably will need to use it next week
yeah,
because suddenly I might be in that situation. But
yeah,
also, I do have the luxury of having Sony's that we use for video. That if I was really stuck, I'd pick that up first. But to be
yeah.
honest with you, although they're mirrorless, the Sony A7 IIIs, and I've got good lenses for them, I don't
Mm,
know why, but I would just go to that Nikon D750 first
mm.
and pick that up. Maybe because it's familiarity
Yeah, I
that,
guess.
that things that.
I guess.
But things to think about, everyone. So if you're sitting on a pile of unused equipment, trade it in and make good use of that money that's sitting there. And on
Absolutely,
that note, Mark,
absolutely.
on that note,
Yes.
yes,
We'll say toodaloo.
yes, thank you ever so much, guys, for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Cheers, guys.
But before we go, Cam, we nearly
Oh, jump the
forgot.
gun. Yes. Shouldn't
Yes.
forget. It's the most
And
important thing.
we forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode as well about our patrons. So it's £2.50 to support the show. We'd really appreciate the support, but you also get early access to our episodes and and the shout out as well. We don't forget. We nearly did today, but we don't normally forget. So it's all good. So here we go. We want to have a big thank you to Rob Percy, Carl Sherville, Amara Zainab, Nick Payne, and Frank Case. And that's everyone.
That's everyone.
Yes,
And
that's everyone.
and guys, remember, it's less than a gin and tonic. It's less than the cost of a gin and tonic, considerably less. Okay, than the cost of a gin and tonic.
It certainly is. Certainly is.
Okay. And on that note,
On that note, we will see you soon. Bye for
okay,
now, guys.
take care, guys.